quiet morn. We are drops in the endless flight. But if you seek a storm that roars beneath the light, baby, I'm the peace before the fight. And you can dance in a storm till you wash away your trace. The droplets fall, a soft encore. Rhythm in the quiet morn. We are drops in the endless flight. But if you seek a storm that roars beneath the light, baby, I'm the peace before the fight. And you can dance in the storm till you wash away your trace. Droplet fall, a soft encore. Rhythm in the quiet morn. We are drops in the endless flight. But if you seek a storm that roars beneath the light, baby, I'm the peace before the fight. And you can dance in the storm till you wash away the trace. The drop is soft encore. Rhythm in the quiet morn. We are drops in the endless flight. But if you seek the storm that roars beneath the light, baby, I'm in peace before the fight. And you can dance in the storm till you wash away a trace. in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus show. adventure is never done. Every corner we turn, a new friend in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
Good morning, Twitch. Good morning, bots. Good morning, lurkers. Good morning, Red Hobbit. Good morning, Cosmic. Yes, Cosmic. I did say yesterday I would be on at 7:30 a.m. and that didn't happen. The nature of the way that life worked out between yesterday and today meant that I was not able to be here at 7:30. But I am here now for whatever that's worth. We're going to start off with this. So, this was on Twitter. Twitter. And Stampy's here also. Down. Settle your hatch. Okay, so this says the last frame of a time lapse from Will Jack Art versus the final image. I am absolutely in no way accusing Will of using AI in his art process. There's no way for me to know definitively. I wasn't there when he made this. But this definitely sets off alarm bells for me. So you are accusing Will of using AI in their art. And this is a time lapse. You could watch it on over at Instagram, right? And you could watch him do this. So even if Will used AI to go from this, in which he did all of this work, to this, what's your problem? And then ultimately, this happened. The tweet was deleted. This is the behavior of these people. They make sweeping accusations about what other people did that they believe that they did with no evidence, just vibes, and potentially do damage to people's reputations. And Meg here, Meg likes to make drawings or art, and it's good looking art, right? They use Toad from uh, Super Mario Brothers. I'm sure, I'm certain, right, that they offer compensation to Nintendo for the use of their IP when they're creating, right? Because you got to be consistent, right? Anyways, where was I? What the story is that Meg accused, while stating they weren't accusing, this Will Jack Art of using AI in their process. And using AI when creating art to a certain segment of society means that you have violated the rules, that you are burnt at the stake, you are excommunicated from this space. People don't think, they just act and react. Speaking of, Scarlett Johansson says she declined Sam Altman's offer to voice ChatGPT. Now she's lawyered up after an eerily similar voice was released. Police are advertising on Twitch with dance music? There are so many wrong things about that sentence. Good morning, Dame Karen. What up, Reed? None of that matters, Cosmic. It has nothing to do with any of that to these people. If you touch AI, if you do it, then you have violated the compact. Nabil, homie Nabil, listening in while you sleep. Get some sleep, homie. Get some real sleep. But if the dulcet tones of Globus the Elder can help usher you off into a peaceful dreamland, then I'm happy to be a part of it. Okay, so and I made this comment myself, right? I actually made it prior to the tech demo that they recently did, because Levelhead, the voice that Levelhead uses, um, it sounds similar to Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, does it sound similar? Absolutely. Is that intentional? I can't think of any reason why not. Right? Sounds sounds intentional. But we're going to talk about it. Scarlett Johansson said in a statement that she was shocked and angered when OpenAI released a voice for its new GPT-4 Omni model that sounded eerily similar to her own after she declined an offer from Sam Altman to voice the chatbot. OpenAI announced its GPT-4 Omni model last week, along with improved voice capabilities for its artificial intelligence assistant, including several voice options. One of the voices immediately sparked comparisons to the movie Her, in which a man falls in love with an AI chatbot voiced by Johansson. OpenAI said late Sunday it was pausing the voice known as Sky, but it didn't specify why. In a blog post, the company said it worked with real voice actors to create each of the voices. We believe that AI voices should not deliberately mimic a celebrity's distinctive voice. Sky's voice is not an imitation of Scarlett Johansson, but belongs to a different professional actress using her own natural speaking voice. So later on, it gets into the idea of concern about deep fakes, or maybe not in this Yeah, now here it is. In a time when we are all grappling with deepfakes and the protection of our own likeness, excuse me, our own work, our own identities, I believe these are questions that deserve absolute clarity, she said in a statement. I look forward to resolution in the form of transparency and the passage of appropriate legislation to help ensure that individual rights are protected. Good morning, Adam. Um, but what this means in practicality is that not only does Scarlett Johansson own the rights to Scarlett Johansson, and fair enough, right? Like I am on board with that 100%. But Scarlett Johansson is indicating here that she owns the rights to people who sound like Scarlett Johansson. Does that make sense to you? Is that fair? In a statement provided to Business Insider on Monday, Johansson said when she heard the Sky demo, she was in disbelief that Altman would go with a voice that sounded so similar to hers. So, OpenAI, Sam Altman in particular, reached out to Johansson previously to get her on board, to bridge the gap between tech companies and creatives. Um, and that Johansson's voice will be comforting to the public. And I agree, right? Johansson said in the statement that she turned down the offer and that Altman even reached out to her 2 days before GPT 4 Omni was announced to ask her to reconsider. Before she could respond, the demo had been released. She said Altman even alluded to the voice being intentionally similar to hers with a one word X post in which he simply wrote her. In a statement provided to Business Insider, Altman said Sky's voice wasn't Johansson's and wasn't intended to be similar to hers. Now, I don't believe this second part, right? I don't know either. I know that there is a whole plethora, a veritable plethora, of people who make their living imitating other people, right? And I know that some people just happen to sound like other people. Some people have told me I sound like Jeff Bridges on this platform. I don't know. I don't know that I would go that far. That's just your opinion, man. Yeah, ah, right? But you get ownership of yourself. You don't get ownership of people who sound like you. You don't get ownership of people who look like you. I mean, is she a voice actor? Technically, like all actors are voice actors, right? Because is Chris Pratt a voice actor? No, but did he play Mario in the Mario movie? Yes. Sam Elliott? That one I would have to work on to get the intonation. She was the voice in her. That's voice acting, right? Like, if they've legitimately paid someone else who happens to sound like her, she has no rights over that. I agree. Did they in any way indicate that it was her? As far as I could tell, they did not. They got close, right? Like Sky, Scarlet. The intention could be there, but are we at the point where we're going to legislate whether or not, um, people allude to stuff? That's going to be rough across the board. But apparently they took down the voice. So I am. Organic sounds are now IP. What up, old lobster? Yeah. Um, I would. I think I would have stuck to my guns harder as OpenAI. But they're treading that PR line. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, we can assume, Dame Karen, that we we're assuming, we're making an assumption, right? Is the idea that she probably already got paid, and it's not really going to be like an advertisement for her, because I don't think they attach any of the names of the people who do the voice acting for their other voices or anything else like that. That's another question, old lobster, right? Like, Morgan Freeman is the one who keeps coming to mind, because there's a whole bunch of Morgan Freeman voice actor type folks, impressionists on YouTube, who do little videos, right? And like, do we need to crush all these people? Is that what we're up to? Yeah, as long as it was in some way able to relate back to her, Dame Karen. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, I'm on your side, right? I think that someone came in, did a job, did a good job, um, and like that. Elon Musk wades in on Scarlett Johansson dispute with OpenAI. That's what we needed, right? We needed to hear from Elon about this. They call themselves Morgan Freeman. Yeah, yeah, no, none of that, right? They're not misrepresenting themselves as Morgan Freeman. They just sound like him. They're doing a voice, right? Um, the impressionists are not as big a deal now as they were in like the 80s, right? But in the 80s, there were a lot of comedians who were impressionists. That was part of their shtick. Robin Williams is probably the most famous example. Robin Williams would do a lot of impressions, in his stand-up comedy, and that was just a thing. And these are the people doing impressions because they can do a good, um, they can do a good Morgan Freeman, right? I don't know. Michael Winslow. Michael Winslow. If Michael Winslow has done anything sketchy, I don't want to know about it. I consider when he does like his um like impressions of like guitar, right? Like he does rock songs, but all with his mouth. It's amazing. I enjoy some Michael Winslow. Shout out Police Academy. ACAB includes Police Academy. Esmongold and editors uses Sir David Attenborough's voice for their narration on video that get 100K plus views. But like not actually David Attenborough, right? Like an impressionist is what you're saying. AI. Oh, well, shit. I guess sue that motherfucker. If you've never heard Jamie Foxx do "Sexy Brady Bunch," you're missing out. But he also does great impressions in "Song of Babyface," Luther Vandross, and Prince. Yeah, no, he did a really good. What's his name? The movie he did. Um, I can't remember. Um, Ray Charles. Thank you, Dame Karen. Yeah, he did a great Ray Charles with his singing voice, right? It's all about intonation and hitting all the marks and making it sound like, impression is like you kind of got to sound like the person, but that's not what really sells it. Like if you do an Obama, right? It's about the way that he talks, right? When you pause at the proper moment and that kind of thing, right? I used to do a decent Obama. I haven't gotten away from that kind of stuff. No, that would be recording a whole lot of stuff, Red Hobbit. Anyways, moving on. So you're all familiar with the robot dog with the flamethrower on it, and you're probably also familiar with the robot dog with the gun on it. America, well, China shows off robot dogs armed with machine guns. The Chinese military recently showed off numerous robot dogs outfitted with machine guns on their backs during the country's biggest ever drill alongside Cambodian troops. The robot dog arms race, indeed. The terrifying gun toting robodogs were part of a massive 15-day military exercise called Golden Dragon in a remote training center in central Cambodia and off the country's coast. During the drill, journalists watched as staff took the robo-dogs for a walk, but reportedly never fired the machine guns strapped to their backs. It's a dystopian vision of what the future of warfare could look like. Experts have long warned that the use of armed drones or killer robots, particularly autonomous ones, is an ethical minefield that should be internationally banned from the battlefield. But that hasn't stopped military forces and even local enforcement in the U.S. from investing in the tech while arguing that their use could even save human lives. It's not the first time we've come across quadrupedal gun toting robots. Last year, the Pentagon announced that the U.S. Army is considering arming remote controlled robot dogs with state of the art rifles as part of its plan to explore the realm of the possible in the future of combat. A U.S. based military contractor called Ghost Robotics has already showed off such a robot dog outfitted with a long distance rifle. However, as far as Boston Dynamics' popular Spot Mini robot dog is concerned, the company has been adamant that strapping weapons to the robot dog is against the term of service. And that's one thing. The robots that you see, right? The one with the flamethrower, the one that Ghost Robotics put a gun on. I believe it. Let's take a look at Ghost Robotics. No, this is their own design. This is not. But the flamethrower one, the one with the flamethrower on it, is a Chinese model. Well, they do kick a lot of their robots. But yeah, Boston Dynamics, shout out Boston Dynamics for standing their ground against weaponizing um, their robots. sure am glad we're doing 100% tariff on Chinese EVs because China develops a revolutionary electric car battery that can charge in 10 minutes. China has developed a revolutionary car battery that can charge in just 10 minutes and power a car for hundreds of miles before it needs to be plugged in. A report from the International Energy Agency has hailed remarkable developments in chemistry that have allowed China to develop new batteries that pack far more energy than existing technologies. The IEA highlighted EV batteries capable of traveling 250 miles without a recharge. Newer versions announced since the report was written can manage 600 miles. However, the agency raised the alarm about China's increasing dominance of the supply of vital materials needed to build batteries. The country's stranglehold on supply chains means net zero rollouts globally could be disrupted by extreme weather, trade disputes, or geopolitics. Extreme weather, sure, that's a thing, right? Extreme weather can absolutely disrupt supply chains. But trade disputes and geopolitics, you can't just point any entity at all. It takes two, at least two, to tango in geopolitics. And when you have any political entity, Russia, England, China, United States, Singapore, they act in relation with other entities. It's not that simple as to just blame China. Cosmic, it's CATL, a fast charging Shenzhen battery capable of delivering 400-kilometer range to be rolled out later this year. I'll see if I can find out real quick. Four-C ultra fast charging. To improve the energy density, CATL introduced its in house 3D honeycomb material. As a result, Shenzhen Plus has an energy density of 205 watt hours per kilogram. Um, LFP batteries. Is that lithium? Yeah, lithium iron phosphate. So not sodium, lithium iron phosphate. And it's looking to reduce the cost of the batteries by 50% by the middle of 2024. we're 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 never going to get serious about climate change. Uh life. China firm's AI breakthrough can meld GPUs from different brands into one training cluster. Baidu says new tech fuses thousands of GPUs together to help sidestep shortages. The company can combat AI chip scarcity by combining GPUs from different vendors. I don't know either. No one ever calls me for branding, Dame Karen. Like, this is the problem. Tech companies are increasing their pace in developing AI technologies. Baidu, China's largest search engine, is often compared to Google and is pushing hard to gain a global lead. According to its CEO, Robin Li, the company has developed a system to combine GPUs from different vendors and use them as a single compute cluster for AI training. This was highlighted in its Q1 2024 earnings call transcript. Lee mentioned in the call Baidu is transforming from an internet centric business to an AI first business with its generative AI Ernie becoming the new core of its products in 2025. However, we expect Baidu to encounter headwinds, especially as it's a Chinese company, and the U.S. severely restricts the export of advanced technologies such as the latest generation NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel chips, which are crucial to AI development. Because of the lack of available hardware, Chinese companies are forced to build homegrown GPUs that are inferior to American built technology.
My circuitry's 12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high speed, top of the line kids.
Yo! Old Lobster gifting went out to Dame Karen. 106. Jesus, tell me. I appreciate you so goddamn.
My circuitry's 12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high speed, top of the line kids.
Twofer. Tossing one on to Cosmic. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Where the hell was I? Inferior. However, as the proverb says, necessity of invention is mother. No, necessity is the mother of invention. Thus, Chinese companies are finding a way around U.S. sanctions, like procuring advanced GPUs on the black market and developing novel solutions. I got a golden ticket. Rolls-Royce SMR partners with the University of Sheffield in new manufacturing and testing facility. The new facility will produce prototype modules for small modular reactors. A new facility will help de-risk and underpin the Rolls-Royce SMR program that aims to deploy a fleet of factory-built nuclear power plants in the UK and across the world. SMRs are seen as a clean energy source that are easier to scale and more affordable than building large nuclear power plants. Each Rolls-Royce SMR could provide enough low-carbon electricity to power 1 million homes for more than 60 years. Yeah, no, that's a good one. That was I'm a huge fan. Yeah, no, this is amazing. We just watched a thing last week. It was either we read and we might dude, dude, dude. You see the abuse? Just yanking my monitors right out of my head. See the abuse I have to put up with? Yeah, I think it was an article we looked at last week. He's always going off. That there wasn't a whole lot of companies like looking to manufacture SMRs, and now that appears to not be the case. So good, excellent, love that. We need more of that. I'm all in on fusion. I'm all in on solar. I'm all in on wind, all that kind of stuff. But nuclear is a technology that we have now. And if we deploy nuclear at scale, then we can turn off all the coal and natural gas and at least stop putting as much carbon into the air. Excuse me. So, yeah, this is cool, right? This would be great technology, worldwide. Now, it's this is one of those things. Well, you know how I feel about the whole U.S.'s behavior around China when it comes to this technology, and I'm not going to rehash it here, but this technology would not have been developed had they not done that. This is the weird nature of circumstance when it comes to development, right? Now we'll just have to see how effective it is. Remember when we read the article a couple days ago which said that there's like nobody knows what to do with AI, it doesn't work well, yada, 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 yada. AI is taking over accounting jobs as people leave the profession. The accounting profession is hemorrhaging. Hemorrhaging, I tell you. Hemorrhaging. Oh, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. No, I can't look at it. All right, fine. What are you doing? You were just working. My own fault. Here we go. AI is hemorrhaging. And the accounting profession is hemorrhaging talent and failing to see growth as young college graduates are not gravitating towards this once buoyant sector. The shift in attitudes regarding the occupation presents an existential threat. How can accounting firms survive and serve their clients if there aren't enough trained professionals? For white collar workers, there is a looming fear that artificial intelligence will steal their jobs. In an interesting plot twist, Puzzle, an accounting startup, is leveraging AI and automation to streamline accounting and financial management where there is currently a talent shortage. Both the pipeline of new accounting graduates as well as retention of existing professionals in the field are major challenges facing the accounting sector in the United States. Experienced accountants are leaving for careers in finance, human resources, and banking, exacerbating the staffing shortage caused by fewer students pursuing accounting degrees. People do, Dame Karen. People really do. More than 300,000 U.S. accountants and auditors left their job between 2019 and 2021. The number of accountants in the U.S. has fallen 15.9% since 2019. The exodus is happening across age groups. It's not just retirees. Younger accountants aged 25 to 34 and mid career professionals aged 45 to 54 are leaving the profession. Factors like long working hours, relatively modest pay, lack of work life balance, and the threat of being replaced by automation are pushing accountants to explore non accounting roles. Wow. Wow, really? Long working hours for little pay and a lack of work life balance? That drives people to look for different jobs? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. AI doesn't steal. AI is a tool. My phone does nothing unless I do something with it. The ergo, whatever my phone does, I do. AI doesn't do anything. AI is a tool. Humans do stuff. You can't have it both ways, God damn it. Jesus Christ. How copyright is killing creativity, except for Taylor Swift's. Music critics have had enough. Taylor Swift, they say, is making too much music. With the recent release of The Tortured Poets Department, is it really the name? Like, oh, I people need to pull their heads out of their asses, Dame Karen, in order for all of us to get the UBI. I'm just like the Dead Poets Society, the Tortured Poets Department. I feel like there's a theme there. It's very similar. Scarlett Johansson should sue. Swift has now released 4 new studio records as well as 4 re-recordings of her earlier records since 2020, often with additional surprise songs. Of course, she's also headlining the biggest concert tour in human history, the movie version of which is the highest grossing concert film of all time. To many, although not her legions of fans, it's excessive. Swift, they argue, is watering down the quality of her art with her near constant stream of music. The albums don't sound different enough from one another to satisfy some critics. And to others, like Vanity Fair's Chris Murphy, Swift's new album is a brazen attempt to completely saturate and dominate a market. Woo! Globus, why are you talking about Taylor Swift? We're talking about copyright, dude. But comparing Swift to tech monopolists, accusing her of inappropriately using her market power to make us buy things we don't need, misunderstands the economics of creativity and intellectual property. Taylor Swift is an increasingly rare economic outlier who continues to make music long after she needs to. This is a weird sentence. You make music because you have music to make. Like, it's, if you're making music to make money, that's weird. That's just weird. You end up like Kid Rock said that. How do you feel about Kid Rock? That will determine your feelings regarding people who make music to make money as people who make money while making music. Her prodigious output is, in fact, something of a throwback to an earlier generation of artists like the Beatles, and Bob Dylan. Making music is expensive. Training, instruments, and studio time all cost money. Perhaps more importantly, professional musicians pass up the chance to work in other professions as doctors, lawyers, or engineers. This is another weird sentence. The number of people who gave up on their promising legal career to become a music artist. Yeah, I'm like I would say that there's a couple Taylor Swift songs I like. I'm not a Swifty, um, but at the same time, I don't really care. You know, like I'm happy that people find music that they enjoy. This is the part that matters to me. Enter copyright law. Copyright exists to encourage some people to forego these and other valuable opportunities for the chance to make a living by entertaining us. It gives them exclusive rights and the chance to charge supra competitive prices for their art to persuade them to create. This is just such a weird framing. Such a weird framing. If giving people money encourages them to create, and that's a big if, then surely giving them more money would encourage them to create more music, right? As one of us has documented empirically, one of us has a book. Um, the answer is actually no. Throughout music history, copyright's incentive has often been dialed up too high and counterintuitively has led to less creativity. In the early 1960s, a best selling musical artist typically released an album or more a year. The Beatles, for example, released their first studio album, Please Please Me, in March 1963, and their final studio album, Let It Be, in May 1970. One moment.
The droplets fall, a soft encore. A rhythm in the quiet morn. We are drops in the endless flight. But if you seek a storm that roars beneath the light, baby, I'm the peace before the fight. And you can dance in a storm till you wash away your trace. The droplets fall, a soft encore. Rhythm in the quiet morn. We are drops in the endless flight. But if you seek a storm that roars beneath the light, baby, I'm the peace before the fight. And you can dance in the storm till you wash away your trace.
Sorry about that. I just got an automated call from my son's school saying that my son wasn't in school, and I was like, well, I personally dropped him off, so I need to know what the hell is going on. And they misclicked. So thank you for your patience. Where the hell was I? In just 8 years, talk about the Beatles. In just 8 years, they produced a total of 12 studio albums, not to mention 4 films. No, they did the role. They have an automated thing, and they must have clicked something, and she took responsibility for it. She said it was a misclick, so. Bob Dylan released 15 studio albums from his 1962 self-titled debut to 1975's Blood on the Tracks. Productivity was high because revenue was low. In 1962, the total revenue in constant inflation-adjusted dollars from record sales in the United States was less than $5 billion. If artists wanted to earn a living from music, they had to work for it. As time moved on, society became wealthier, and the revenue from record sales increased. According to the RIAA, revenue from record sales had risen above $15 billion in constant dollars in the 1970s. It fell back to 11.5 billion during the 1982-83 recession. But beginning in 1984, George Orwell's 1984, with the improvement of the economy and the introduction of the CD, revenue from record sales rose to a peak of over 25 billion in constant dollars in 1999. As revenue rose, artist productivity fell. Instead of one album or more per year, the best selling musical artists began releasing an album every other year or every third year. Whitney Houston, for example, released her first studio album, Whitney Houston, in February 1985, and over the next 10 years released only two more. Had the Beatles been recording in the 90s, their productivity may well have been half as high. Which albums are you willing to lose? By the early 2000s, unlicensed file sharing on sites like Napster seemed to threaten the recording industry's very existence. But, counterintuitively, the diminished revenue actually spurred more musical creativity. After peaking in 1999, record sales revenue had fallen to only $8.6 billion in the United States by 2015, a level not seen since the 1960s and less than a third of its peak. Pundits proclaimed the death of the music industry in 2015. We haven't had a single music since 2015. Yet, precisely the opposite happened. Less money meant more and better music. From the late 1990s, when music revenue peaked, to the early 2010s, when music revenue was at its lowest in decades, the number of albums released in the United States annually more than doubled. And if we measure music quality by how often people choose to listen to a song, quality increased significantly as well. It's easy to mistake copyright for a system designed to support musical artists. From that perspective, more copyright means more money. And if more money is the whole point of the system, then more copyright is always the right answer. But now, with streaming revenue creating another peak in industry profits, and I want to point out that they are referring to industry profits, not necessarily musician profits, but I digress. Many musicians are, quite rationally, making less music. Since Taylor Swift released her first of 11 entirely new albums in 2026, Justin Timberlake is managed a measly 4. Lorde, is Lorde still a thing? Has produced only 3 albums since 2013 to Swift's 7 new albums. We leave it to the critics to determine the quality of Swift's new work, although we admit to being fans. But she shouldn't be faulted merely for her prodigious output. We should be thrilled to have an artist who continues to create long after she has made enough money for several generations of her family to never have to work. If there's a problem here, it's a copyright system that over rewards the Timberlakes of the world, relaxing at their beach houses while thousands of other musicians struggle to make ends meet. Surprisingly, if the question is how to ensure that artists remain productive, the answer may be less rather than more copyright. For example, rather than last for a fixed and very long period, a song's copyright could last only until an artist has had a reasonable opportunity to recoup her costs, as one of us has proposed. But whether we adopt this solution or some other, we should not rely on the outliers such as Taylor Swift alone to supply us with the music that brings us such joy. We must recognize the link between too much copyright, too much money, at least for the top artists, and too little music. And this is Christopher Bucafusco, who is a professor at Duke Law. Also, Glenn Lunny, a professor and associate dean at Texas A&M Law. Too much copyright. Too much copyright. IBM. Thank you, Reuters. IBM makes more AI models open source and lands Saudi Arabia deal. IBM on Tuesday said it will release a family of artificial intelligence models as open source software and that it will help Saudi Arabia train an AI system in Arabic. The Armonk, New York based company, Armonk? What the fuck is Armonk? Has taken a different approach to making money from AI than some of its rivals, such as Microsoft and others, that are tightly guarding their AI models and charging for access to them. Similar to Facebook, Meta, IBM is instead providing open access to the models themselves, and on Wednesday opened its Granite family of AI models for companies to customize. The Granite tools are designed to help software developers complete computer code faster. To make money off the models, IBM offers a paid tool it calls Watson X that helps run the models smoothly inside a data center after they have been customized. IBM's strategy has been to try and make money when customers actually get use out of AI models, whether they came from IBM or others, and whether they run in IBM data centers or not. Look at IBM making a comeback. IBM also said that Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority will train its Alam, ALLAM, Alam, Arabic language model using Watson X, adding new language skills to IBM offerings, including the ability to understand multiple dialects of Arabic. Open source everywhere. Admittedly, it's not necessarily something that you and I might use, but it's supposed to help coding, and it is available. Do 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 do. Yeah, no, it's on GitHub. Two main variants: the Granite code-based models, base foundational models designed for code-related tasks, code repair, code explanation, code synthesis, and Granite code instruct models, instruction following models fine-tuned using a combination of Git commits paired with human instruction and open source synthetically generated code instruction datasets. So yeah. Um, Filmmakers launch AI Studio Late Night Labs with help from Natasha Leone and Angel Manuel Soto. Um, this is another thing that upset a whole bunch of people on Twitter. They immediately committed to the idea that no one was ever going to work with Natasha Leone anymore, uh, because that's what they say, right? You will be ostracized from the community should you go this route. A group of filmmakers are launching an AI film and animation studio and has snagged some A-list advisors. Eric Day, Ben Rothi, and Nick Confalone have launched LA-based Late Night Labs with Poker Face star Natasha Lyonne and Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel Soto among its advisors. The trio are using generative AI in the creative process, but are hoping that the new technology can also provide artists with tangible ownership with what they create. Day and Rafi have worked in immersive media with the likes of Disney, NFL, New York Times, Epic, Hulu, Global Citizen, and Google, while Confalone is a 20-year veteran writer-producer in children's television, best known for his work on Hasbro's My Little Pony, that failure, Apple's Helpsters, and Disney's Super Kitties. Blue Beetle director. I haven't seen Blue Beetle, so that's not an endorsement. Um, I think all DC movies are mid. I don't hate them the way that some people do, but like I think they're pretty mid. There are obviously big changes happening right now in our industry, but we're not talking about replacing people with AI, just as Pixar didn't replace animators with computers. Our shared vision is to use this new technology to provide artists with tangible ownership in what they create. Generative AI is a tool that can be used in the creative process. There is an opportunity to set the stage for its future use. With that goal in mind, we've developed proprietary AI technologies to give artists unprecedented control over every aspect of their creations. Even if you could prompt your way through a feature film, would you really want to? Says Rafi. There's joy in the process of filmmaking, and we want to keep that artistry at the center ahead of the tech. We're building this so the technology is in service of the artist, not the other way around. Wow, it's almost like all the people losing their mind on Twitter didn't actually look at the article. I love it here. Love it here. Great. 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 All right, let's do a couple positives and then I got to wrap. Physicists create optical component for 6G. A joint team of physicists from Skoltech, MIPT, and ITMO developed an optical component that helps manage the properties of a terahertz beam and split it into several channels. The new device can be used as a modulator and generator of terahertz vortex beams in medicine, 6G communications, and microscopy. Paper appears in the journal Advanced Optical Materials. The rapidly evolving terahertz technology involves the transmission of signals at 1 trillion hertz or 1 terahertz in between the microwave and infrared frequency bands. It will use It will be used in high speed 6G communication as well as in medicine as an alternative to X rays. Researchers are currently focusing on the creation of optical components adapted to these frequencies and generators that can be used to transmit such signals. Amazing. What up, Minute? Yeah, it's nice to see, you know, nice to see progress. The new modulator is suitable for a variety of applications, including terahertz microscopy and biomedicine that require focusing and repositioning the beam. It's very cool. I have a link to a conference discussing it back from 2018. It includes this tech and specific rollout dates. Nice. Plan dates, obviously. U.S. installs record 5 million solar panels, aims 10 million by 2030. If only there was a place we could get cheap solar panels. SEIA predicts that solar installation in the U.S. will increase twofold to 10 million by 2030 and triple to 15 million by 2034. Statement released by the Solar Energy Industry Association claims that the U.S. has officially exceeded 5 million solar installations, hailing it as an achievement in the nation's clean energy transition. Earlier in 2016, the U.S. reached 1 million installation, which itself took 40 years, thanks Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan. Jimmy Carter had solar panels installed on the roof of the White House, and Ronald Reagan had them taken down. It took 40 years to complete post the installation of the first grid-connected solar installation in 1973. These installations include primary solar panels, which harness sunlight and convert it into electricity, installed on rooftops of homes, businesses, and other structures, as well as larger ground mounted arrays across the country. Panels can be spotted across the nation, noticeable density in states like California, Illinois, and Florida. California is leading the country with 2 million, 2 out of the 5 million installations. As much as 25% of them came online with the effective implementation of the Inflation Reduction Act 20 months ago. This indicates a rapid increase in the deployment and activation of solar energy systems across the country in just the last 3 years. The growth is primarily driven by the residential sector, which accounts for 97% of all solar installations in the U.S. Solar is scaling by the millions because it consistently delivers on its promise to lower electricity costs, boost community resilience, and create economic opportunities. Today, 7% of homes in America have solar, and this number will grow to over 15% of U.S. homes by 2030. Solar is quickly becoming the dominant source of electricity on the grid, allowing communities to breathe cleaner air and lead healthier lives. Yeah. Yeah, again, we had solar panels on the White House, Dame Karen. Jimmy Carter put them in. And then the next guy showed up. And the next guy was Ronald Reagan. I mean, we could be much farther on this path had we, not elected Ronald Reagan. All right, I gotta go. I will be back later today Yeah, probably. It's always bad. Even when I replace it, it's still bad. Do 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 do. I do my best there, Cosmic. There you go. There's a fresh one. I'm gonna raid Zach App today. There's a dude. What's it? I think his first name is Tyler. Tyler Lucky. Um, we're gonna do a deep dive into that dude. We're gonna take a look. He is up to shenanigans and is in the news a lot lately, and I think we should take a look at why. Yeah. So back at 5 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, play Call of Dragons. Got a couple more days on that. And yeah. Drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shuggy loves you, and so do I. Be great.